If you're waiting for the perfect moment to improve your life, stop. The moment is daily. Growth isn't an event, it's a practice. When you work on yourself every day, you don't just change your habits, you rewrite your identity. But skip one day and comfort creeps back in. You drift, you delay, you forget who you could have become. The people who rise, who lead, who leave legacies, they don't hope for growth, they schedule it. Daily discipline isn't optional. It's the entry fee to the life you say you want. In few moments, you will learn how to work on yourself every day, to grow, evolve, and never fall behind again. You are the project of a lifetime. There is no greater investment than the one you make in yourself. You are not just a human being. You are a living, breathing construction site. Every morning you wake up with bricks in your hands. The question is, what are you building? Most people build walls of excuses. But you're called to build a legacy. Proverbs 4:7 says, "Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom." If your mind is your master tool, why would you leave it dull? Sharpen it. Read, learn, challenge yourself. Not once, daily. Success doesn't ask, "What did you do once?" It asks, "What do you always do?" The discipline to show up for yourself every single day is what separates the ordinary from the exceptional. Picture a sculptor chiseling away at a block of marble. The masterpiece doesn't appear in one swing, but each cut, each strike, deliberate, persistent, reveals the vision within. Work on yourself like that. Discipline is the bridge to the future. Dreams don't become reality through desire. Cross the bridge of discipline. And that bridge, it's not paved with gold or motivation. It is paved with decisions, with sweat, with days you don't feel like it, but you show up anyway. Most people wait for a signal, a green light, or the perfect moment. But the truth is simple. There is no perfect time. There is only now. The longer you wait, the further the dream drifts. Because dreams don't move toward you, you must move toward them. Discipline is that movement. Hebrews 12:11 declares, "No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness for those who have been trained by it." That scripture doesn't just speak of faith. It speaks of every goal worth pursuing. It's telling you, today's pain is tomorrow's peace. Today's sacrifice becomes tomorrow's strength. Today's discomfort plants the seeds of tomorrow's reward. Think of your future self like a kingdom, a city not yet built, but fully possible. Every time you choose discipline, you lay a brick, a habit kept, a distraction resisted, a promise honored. These are the stones of greatness. Over time, they become a castle. They become legacy. They become you. But here's the hard question. Will that future version of you thank you or resent you? Will they look back at the path you walked and say, "You made this life possible"? Or will they whisper, "You could have given me more"? One brick each day. That's it. Not a leap, not a miracle, just one honest effort stacked upon the last. Walk a mile a day, and in a year, you've traveled 365 miles. Stay consistent, and you'll arrive somewhere others only dream of. But stop walking, and you stay in place. You decay, you shrink. So the question isn't, can you do it? The real question is, will you do it today? Will you take that first step, or will you keep rehearsing the reasons not to? Every moment you hesitate, someone else is building. Every time you delay, the dream delays too. But every time you step forward in faith, you meet the future halfway. Discipline is the only bridge that can carry your dreams from the land of wishful thinking to the world of reality. Cross it. Self-belief is the oxygen of progress. You can't run a marathon without air, and you can't chase your dreams without belief. Your intentions matter, but your environment, it amplifies or erases them. You may have the strongest desire in the world, but place that desire in a toxic atmosphere and it will wither. The people, the spaces, and the energies around you are not passive. They are either builders or breakers. 1 Corinthians 15:33 gives us a clear warning. Bad company corrupts good character. It doesn't say might. It says corrupts. That means even the best version of you is vulnerable if surrounded by the wrong influence. Goals are not just ideas. They are sacred blueprints, fragile in the early stages, and like treasure, they must be guarded. If the people around you don't inspire you, support you, or challenge you to grow, they are likely holding you back, even if they do it with a smile. You don't need to hate them, but you do need to be wise. Because just like smoke suffocates a flame, the wrong company can smother your inner fire. Imagine you are a seed. That seed contains a perfect blueprint. All the potential is there. But what happens if you plant that seed in concrete? Nothing. It dies, not because it lacked potential, but because it lacked the right conditions. Now place that same seed in rich soil. Give it light. Give it space. It grows. It flourishes, not because it became something new, but because its environment allowed it to become what it already was. Your environment is your soil. Change it, upgrade it, and you will unlock growth you didn't even know was possible. Surround yourself with positivity, with excellence, with people who speak life, not fear, with individuals who hold you to your highest standard, not your lowest comfort. One conversation can change your life. One sentence can rewire your beliefs. But also, one voice can plant a seed of doubt. One joke can derail your drive. That's why you must be vigilant. Who's in your ear? Who do you allow to influence your thoughts, your energy, your decisions? Walt Disney had a vision most couldn't see, but he didn't try to build it alone. He surrounded himself with artists who could draw what he imagined, engineers who could build what he dreamed, believers who could carry the weight of vision. Before Disneyland ever broke ground, he had built a circle, an atmosphere of creation. And today, millions walk through a dream that started in a room full of the right people. So take inventory. Who surrounds you? Who challenges you to rise? Who reminds you of your potential when you forget it yourself? And, just as important, who pulls you back? Who minimizes your ideas? Who jokes when you speak seriously about your future? Atmosphere is everything. It determines whether your goals remain as dreams or become destiny. Don't just hope for growth. Plant yourself where growth is inevitable, where excellence is the standard, where your fire is not only protected but fed. Your future depends on it. The mind replays what the heart believes. Your thoughts are not random. They are recordings of what you've accepted as truth. Every action you take begins with a thought. But where did that thought come from? Most people never ask. They move through life obeying internal voices without ever questioning who gave those voices authority. If you've told yourself, "I'm not good enough," long enough, your actions will confirm it. Not because it's true, but because belief is a script, and your life performs it. Romans 12:2 offers the answer. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Notice what it says. Be transformed, not by changing your surroundings, not by waiting for luck, but by renewing your mind. Real change begins in the invisible. Transformation doesn't start in your hands, it starts in your head. You cannot build a palace with broken blueprints. If the design is flawed, the structure will collapse no matter how hard you work. Your thoughts are your blueprints, and if you don't intentionally feed them truth, the weeds of fear, doubt, and limitation will overrun your mental garden. Imagine your mind as a garden. You don't just pull weeds once and expect roses forever. It takes consistency. Daily watering, daily sunlight, daily protection. You must prune what no longer serves you. Remove the lies, plant the truth, and do it again tomorrow. That's your job. That's the work. Transformation is not a single event. It is a daily discipline. You must wake up and speak to yourself with authority. I am capable. I am called. I am chosen. These are not feel-good affirmations. They are spiritual strategies, because the mind will believe whatever it hears repeatedly. You get to choose what it hears. Helen Keller. Blind and deaf before she turned 2, the world labeled her impossible, a life without language, without vision, but someone believed for her until she could believe for herself. And once belief entered her mind, the impossible became her platform. She wrote books, delivered speeches, inspired movements. She couldn't see the world, but she changed it. How? Because she reprogrammed the narrative. What story are you replaying? Your mind is not a cage, it's a canvas. Every thought paints a stroke, and with enough strokes, a masterpiece or a mess emerges. You cannot control every thought that comes to you, but you can control which ones take residence, which ones get fed, which ones get repeated. Feed your mind truth, feed it discipline, feed it vision. Turn down the volume on the voice of fear, turn up the voice of faith, because the loudest voice wins. and it must be yours. This is not just mindset, it is warfare, and the battlefield is between your ears. The victories you want in your life will be won first in your thoughts. So, renew your mind, not once, not when convenient, but every day. Speak truth until it drowns out the lies. Believe in possibility until it feels like reality. Because it's not enough to dream, you must first think like someone who deserves it. Renew your mind, and the rest will follow. Pain is the currency of growth. Everyone wants to grow, but no one wants to hurt. Yet the truth remains unshaken. Growth requires discomfort. You cannot rise without resistance. You cannot strengthen what has never been tested. And you cannot transform without a little breaking. James 1:2-4 speaks directly to this. Count it all joy when you face trials, because the testing of your faith produces perseverance. This isn't just encouragement, it's instruction. It says to welcome the pain, not because pain feels good, but because pain does good. The pain, it stretches, it strengthens, it sanctifies. Most people pray for breakthrough, but resist the breaking. But look deeper. Every great tree once began as a seed. That seed, before it ever touches sunlight, must break open in the dark. It must surrender its shape to embrace its potential. That's not destruction, that's transformation. That's how growth works. It doesn't come without pressure. It doesn't come without pain. You must learn to stop fearing the pain and start forming from it. Don't just endure your struggles, extract from them. Don't just suffer, shape through it. Every tear, every trial, every hard moment is life's tuition fee. And greatness, that's the degree. Your pain is not punishment, it is preparation. Jackie Robinson wasn't just the first black man in Major League Baseball. He was a pioneer under pressure. Every time he stepped onto the field, he carried insults heavier than any bat. He was spit at, mocked, hated, but never folded. His pain could have silenced him. Instead, he turned it into power. Every game he played was a statement, every swing a stance. He wasn't playing just to win. He was playing to change. You may not be in a stadium, but you are in a story. And just like Jackie, your pain can either shrink you or shape you. So ask yourself, will I run from this? Will I numb it, deny it, blame others for it, or will I rise through it? Will I let it teach me, strengthen me, forge something greater in me? Pain is not weakness. Pain is the alarm clock of your next level. It's the seed cracking, the muscles tearing, the fire refining. You are not broken because you're in pain. You are becoming. Your character is being carved. Your capacity is being increased. Your destiny is being defined. Don't despise the discomfort. Lean into it. Let it stretch your patience. Let it deepen your faith. Let it pull new strength from within you. Because comfort will never produce the version of you the world is waiting to meet. Everyone wants the mountain view, but no one wants the uphill climb. Yet only the ones who climb see. Only the ones who stretch grow. Only the ones who press through the pain rise. So rise, not around the pain, not avoiding the pain, but through it. Because pain is not your prison, it's your passage. Consistency is the superpower you're ignoring it. It's not what you do occasionally that defines you. It's what you do consistently. The most powerful force in your life is not the surge of excitement, but the rhythm of discipline. One step doesn't build a journey. One act doesn't form a legacy. It is the repetition, the ritual, the returning again and again that carves greatness into the bedrock of your life. You may feel overlooked, unseen, like your efforts are echoes in a void. But what if those echoes are shaping the walls of your future? Psalm 1:3 describes the righteous as a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season. That means there are days of no fruit, only faith. No applause, only perseverance. No spotlight, only steady watering. The tree doesn't grow because it tries harder. It grows because it remains planted, rooted, fed by consistency. That's you. You don't need a dramatic moment. You need daily devotion. The seeds you plant in silence will one day bloom in public. Growth comes from the unseen, from choosing to rise again, to repeat what works, to water your goals even when you don't yet see the harvest. Picture a blacksmith hammering a piece of steel. The first strike doesn't change it. nor the fifth, but strike after strike in the same place builds heat, builds force, until the steel yields. So does life. But will you keep hammering when it still looks the same? Success does not respond to passion alone. It responds to perseverance. And consistency is perseverance in motion. It is faith with a schedule, hope with a habit. Make your work ethic louder than your excuses. Decide once and repeat daily, even when it's boring, even when it's hard. Because the world does not give you what you occasionally wish for, it gives you what you consistently work for. Booker T. Washington was not born into ease. He was born into slavery. His beginnings were marked by silence, scarcity, and struggle, but he kept showing up. He taught himself to read by candlelight. He walked for miles to attend school. He labored not for applause, but for change. Over time, his efforts built the Tuskegee Institute. His voice reached presidents. His legacy reshaped education. And none of it came overnight. It came from hammering the steel again and again. So ask yourself, what have you committed to so deeply, so persistently, that it's become part of your identity? Don't chase greatness in sprints. Build it in strides. Don't wait for motivation. Be moved by discipline. Be like the tree, planted, watered, rooted. Trust that the fruit will come in season. Because your future is not built in flashes, it's built in footsteps. Make yours consistent, and let the world bend in your favor. Speak life into your vision. Words are not just sounds, they are seeds. Every sentence you speak carries power, whether you acknowledge it or not. They build or break, bless or burden, shape or shatter. Proverbs 18:21 says, "Life and death are in the power of the tongue." That's not poetry, it's law. You are creating with every word. And the question is, what are you creating? What are you speaking? Over your dreams? Do your words lift you or limit you? Do they ignite your vision or extinguish it? Every time you say, "I can't," you're pouring poison into your potential. But when you declare, "I will," something deep within responds. It's as if your soul recognizes the truth and begins to rise. You give heaven something to bless. You awaken angels and align yourself with promise. Words are your daily declarations of direction. Speak life boldly, not because of wishful thinking, but because your future listens. Like a captain steering a ship, the rudder determines the direction, not the storm. The rudder is small, but it turns the entire vessel. Your words are your rudder. Speak like someone going somewhere. Speak like your future depends on it, because it does. Every time you open your mouth, you're writing a headline for your life. George Washington Carver, born into slavery, had every reason to echo despair, but he didn't. He believed in a creator who encoded purpose into nature. He spoke to peanuts. Yes, he literally talked to a crop. He asked questions. He listened for divine answers. And from that one humble seed, over 300 products were born. Why? Because he believed. Because he spoke. His words weren't noise. They were keys. Keys that unlocked hidden doors of possibility. So must you. Don't just describe your life, declare it. Don't narrate your limits, name your destiny. Speak what you seek until you see what you've said. Words are not echoes, they're architects. They design the rooms you'll one day walk through. You are not powerless, you are prophetic. You don't need to predict the future, you need to pronounce it. Wake up and bless your day. Speak over your work, over your mind, over your family. Refuse to curse your own calling with careless chatter. Speak like your words matter, because they do. Every moment is an opportunity to sow new seeds, and every seed spoken in faith is one step closer to harvest. Speak what you want to build. Speak what you want to become. Speak like someone whose destiny is listening, because it is. You were not made to blend in. You are not here to fit in. You are here to stand out. There is nothing accidental about your existence. You were created with purpose, precision, and a presence meant to shift rooms, not disappear in them. Romans 12:2 gives a command, not a suggestion. Do not conform to the pattern of this world. That means you are not meant to mimic. You are meant to move differently, speak differently, live boldly. Every time you shrink to be accepted, you betray your assignment. The world does not need more conformity. It needs more courage. When you bury your brilliance just to blend in, you rob the world of the very light it's been waiting for. You weren't made to reflect your environment, you were made to elevate it. Why dim your light just because others haven't found theirs? Insecure people often feel threatened by authenticity, but that's not your problem to fix. That's their fear to face. Your job is not to lower your standard to soothe their discomfort. Your job is to live your truth so fully that it awakens others to theirs. Think of a lighthouse. It doesn't chase ships. It doesn't blink with doubt. It simply stands, bright, unwavering, constant. Ships are saved because it refuses to move. That's your role. Be the light that holds firm even when the storm rages, even when you feel alone. Because someone somewhere is navigating the chaos and needs the clarity you provide. You don't serve the world by hiding, you serve it by standing. Louis Armstrong knew this. Born into poverty, raised in hardship, he was told in 100 ways that he didn't belong, that his voice was too different, his background too rough. But he didn't conform, he created. With a trumpet in hand and joy in his soul, he redefined what music could sound like. He didn't wait for permission to shine, he simply lit the stage, and the world followed. You must do the same. The world doesn't need another echo. It needs your voice, your truth, your light. You were not called to blend into the noise. You were designed to be a note that changes the song. Don't be afraid to be the first, the only, the different, the bold. Your uniqueness is not a flaw. It's your fingerprint on history. Stand tall, stand true, stand unapologetically, because when you stand in your light, you give others permission to do the same. And in a world full of shadows, one light can start a revolution. Your thoughts build your future. Before your hands do, before you ever act, you think. And what you think, especially what you think repeatedly, becomes what you believe. Over time, that belief begins to govern your life. It becomes the invisible script you follow, the lens through which you see every opportunity, every obstacle, every decision. Proverbs 23:7 puts it plainly. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Your life is not shaped first by your circumstances, but by your assumptions. Not by what happens to you, but by what you believe about what happens to you. You're not stuck because of your actions. You're stuck because of your assumptions. Assumptions about your worth, your talent, your future, and those assumptions form a ceiling over your life. A ceiling you can only break through when you change what's going on beneath it, your thinking. This isn't abstract theory. It's spiritual law. Your thoughts are not harmless. They are seeds. And every day you are planting. The question is, are you planting weeds or wheat? What you feed your mind becomes your mindset, and your mindset becomes your map. Change your thoughts and you change your tomorrow. Begin every day with vision. Declare who you are before the world defines it for you. Guard your mind like treasure. You don't let thieves in your house. Don't let lies into your thoughts. Filter what you allow in. Monitor your inner dialogue, because that voice is either coaching you to rise or condemning you to stay stuck. Take that voice off autopilot. Teach it how to speak. Replace every I can't with I'm learning. Replace every I've failed with I've grown. Speak not what you feel, but what you choose to believe. That's how you renew your mind. That's how you shift your reality. Andrew Carnegie understood this. Before he built steel empires and libraries and legacy, he built belief. He didn't come from wealth. He came from struggle, from poverty. But his mind was never poor. He believed in ideas, in people, in himself. He carried a vision so strong that the world eventually bowed to it. While others complained, he created. While others doubted, he decided. He didn't wait for confidence, he cultivated it. Every day he thought better thoughts, and those thoughts became a better life. You want more? Think better. Don't let your life be dictated by a broken loop of fear and failure. Choose your thoughts like you choose your words, on purpose, with power, with faith, because what you think today becomes who you are tomorrow. You are not your past, you are your potential, but only if you believe it. So start every morning, not with anxiety, but with alignment, not with doubt, but with declaration, not with fear, but with faith, because the mind is your greatest battleground. Win there, and you win everywhere. Vision without action is just fantasy. You can dream all day, but dreams don't move you forward until you move. No amount of vision will carry you if your feet stay still. You can write goals in notebooks, speak affirmations into mirrors, and plan every detail in your head, but without action, all of it dies in theory. James 2:17 says it plainly. Faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. That means faith isn't just belief. It's motion, it's movement. It's the courage to step when the outcome is uncertain. You don't need to see the whole staircase, just the next step. That's how progress happens, not in leaps of certainty, but in steps of obedience. Many people wait for clarity before they act, but clarity isn't a prerequisite. It's a byproduct. It doesn't come before the journey, it comes through the journey. When you move, you learn. When you act, you adjust. And when you start walking, you begin to see the path that hesitation kept hidden. Start before you're ready, act while you're uncertain. Trust that momentum creates direction. Trust that when you move, heaven moves with you. Motion stirs miracles. Breakthroughs don't show up in stillness, they show up in pursuit. Don't wait until it's perfect. Don't wait until you have every answer. Don't wait for the fear to disappear. Execute what you have with what you know where you are. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times trying to invent the light bulb. If he had waited for perfection, the world might still be in darkness. But he acted. He didn't sit still. He didn't wait for the idea to be flawless. He moved. And because he moved, light was born. His brilliance wasn't in avoiding failure. It was in his refusal to let failure be the final word. So what about you? What ideas are you sitting on? What breakthrough are you delaying because you're still planning it to death? What step could you take today that might change everything tomorrow? Faith walks, faith builds, faith initiates. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to be willing. Willing to start. Willing to try. Willing to do the small, uncertain thing that may become the big, undeniable miracle. Stop waiting. Start building, because your breakthrough is not in the planning, it's in the doing. One step. That's all it takes to change your story. And that step, it starts now. You are responsible for your results, not your circumstances. Blame is the easiest road to travel and the most crowded. It's tempting to point the finger outward when life doesn't go as planned. Your upbringing, the economy, the people around you, the circumstances you never asked for. It feels good for a moment to say, this isn't my fault. But the problem with blame is that it delays the only thing that can actually change your life, responsibility. Because until you take full ownership, you have no control. And without control, there is no change. If you're waiting for someone else to fix what happened, you're giving them power over your future, and that's the quickest way to stay stuck. Responsibility is not punishment, it is power. The world may have wronged you, life may have dealt you a heavy hand. But here's the truth. Blaming it won't lighten the load. Galatians 6:5 declares, each one should carry their own load. That's not just instruction, it's liberation. It means the path to change is already in your hands. You don't need permission. You don't need rescue. What you need is the courage to look yourself in the mirror and say, this is mine to carry and mine to change. When you take responsibility, you stop waiting for the weather to shift. You adjust your own sail, and suddenly, no matter the storm, you can move forward. You begin by changing your language. Remove the words, I can't because, and replace them with, what can I do with what I have? Ownership starts with small, consistent action. When you stop waiting for perfect conditions, you start making progress. Take one small step toward the life you want right now. Maybe it's a choice to wake up earlier, or a commitment to stop complaining. Maybe it's choosing gratitude instead of bitterness. Each act of ownership is a seed, and though the results aren't instant, they are inevitable. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a willing heart. Start where you are. Use what you have. You may not have money, but you might have time. You may not have connections, but you have creativity. The most successful people in history weren't given a golden path, they carved one. They turned wounds into wisdom, setbacks into fuel, limitations into strategy, and they all had one thing in common. They owned their story. They didn't let their story own them. Franklin D. Roosevelt was struck by polio in his prime. Most would have accepted that as a life sentence. He didn't. He couldn't control the paralysis in his legs, but he could control the movement in his spirit. And he did. He led a nation through depression and war, not despite his struggle, but because he embraced it. He showed the world what leadership looks like when it's not built on excuses, but on endurance. So must you. You are not a product of your past. You are the architect of your future. Stop rewriting the reasons you're stuck. Start rewriting the story. Blame changes nothing. Ownership changes everything. And the moment you take full responsibility is the moment you step into full power. That's when the shift happens. That's when life starts to respond. Not when you complain, not when you wait, but when you decide, I will rise, not because of what happened, but in spite of it. You are not a victim, you are a vessel. So take the wheel, set the sail, and move forward. Your freedom is waiting on your ownership. Rest is a weapon, not a weakness. Burnout isn't a result of effort, it's a result of neglect, not of your tasks, but of yourself. You weren't made to run endlessly. You weren't designed to produce nonstop. Even the sun goes down. Even the tide pulls back. And in Genesis 2:2, even God himself rested. After 6 days of creation, he paused. Not because he was tired, but because rest is sacred. So why do you keep pushing like you're above the law of renewal? Rest is not retreat. It is resistance against the culture that equates worth with exhaustion. There's a hidden pride in overworking, a subtle lie that says, if I stop, it'll all fall apart. But that belief is the seed of burnout. And burnout is not the mark of dedication, it's the consequence of disconnection. You are not a machine, you are a vessel, and a vessel that is never refilled will eventually crack. Rest is not selfish, it is stewardship. It is you taking care of the instrument that carries the vision. Because what good is a sharp mind if it's fogged by fatigue? What good is ambition if your body can't carry it? You must begin to build your life around your energy, not just your goals. Goals are important, yes, but without fuel, even the finest engine fails. It starts with honest rhythms. Sleep like your dreams depend on it, because they do. Eat in ways that give, not just grab. Breathe like your peace depends on it. Set boundaries not as walls, but as gates to protect your focus and your spirit. Rest doesn't mean you're not serious. It means you're smart enough to last. Take one full day, not to work, not to catch up, but to reconnect, to reflect, to realign, sit in silence, walk in nature. Write what you feel, pray, think, listen, not to noise, but to what your soul's been whispering under all the hurry. You don't need to escape your life, you need to return to it, rested. Eleanor Roosevelt once said, with the new day comes new strength and new thoughts. She lived that truth. Amidst global crises and political storms, she carried herself with a quiet force, not because she never tired, but because she understood restoration. She spent time alone. She walked in the woods. She wrote in solitude. Her strength wasn't just in what she did, it was in how she prepared to do it. She led not from depletion, but from depth. That is the difference. You must remember, rest is not a reward for having done enough. It's the requirement to keep doing what matters. Don't wait until your body breaks or your mind unravels. Don't wear exhaustion as a badge of honor. The real power is not in running until collapse. It's in rising each day with clarity, with strength, with peace. That's what rest gives you, not escape, but endurance. So today, unplug to reconnect. Pause to refocus. Breathe, not because you're weak, but because you want to come back stronger. A rested you is a powerful you. A still mind is a sharp one. A nourished soul is a force. And when you treat rest as sacred, your work becomes sacred too. Because you're no longer running from empty, you're moving from overflow. And overflow changes everything. Excellence is a habit, not a mood. Excellence doesn't come wrapped in excitement. It doesn't arrive on the wings of motivation or in the glow of good moods. It's forged in the fire of repetition, in the trenches of tedium, in the moments when you feel nothing yet you show up anyway. The path to greatness is paved with days that feel ordinary. That's why most people miss it. They're waiting for inspiration before they act, not realizing that action is what invites inspiration. You don't rise to excellence by chasing a feeling. You rise by following through when the feelings fade. In 1 Corinthians 9:25, it says, "Everyone who competes in the games goes into strict training." Notice the word strict. Not sporadic, not whenever you feel like it, but consistent, disciplined, intentional. Excellence is not about doing more, it's about doing with purpose. It's not glamorous, it's often hidden. No one applauds your early mornings, your late nights, or your countless repetitions, but heaven sees, heaven counts the unseen obedience, and in time, the world sees the results. Most people crave the reward, but few are willing to endure the routine. But make no mistake, routine is the birthplace of mastery. The repetition that seems boring is the grindstone that sharpens your gift. Every time you show up tired but committed, you plant seeds of greatness. Every time you choose excellence over convenience, you tell the world, "I will not be average." You don't need to feel like a champion to train like one. You just need to act like one, and eventually your actions will shape your identity. So how do you live this? You decide every day. You make excellence your standard, not your exception. That means brushing your teeth with intention, writing that email with clarity, leading that meeting with presence, cleaning that space with gratitude. It's not about perfection, it's about presence. Excellence is a posture of the heart before it's a product of the hand. It's not about being better than others, it's about being better than you were yesterday. And that starts with the small, consistent decisions that no one sees. Florence Nightingale didn't set out to be applauded. She simply refused to abandon excellence, even when the world wasn't watching. Night after night, she nursed the wounded when others had grown weary. Her discipline wasn't loud, but it was lasting. She trained herself in silence so she could serve in strength. And her impact didn't end with her lifetime. Her habits outlived her name. That is the legacy of quiet excellence. You don't need the spotlight to shine. You just need to stay faithful to the process. Excellence isn't something you chase, it's something you become. It's a muscle built in the dark, a fire kept alive in the quiet. And when you train like a champion, even when no one is watching, passion will follow. The results will come. But more importantly, character will come. And character is the foundation of everything that lasts. So stop waiting for the mood to strike. Make a decision. Build a rhythm. Keep your word to yourself. The world may reward results, but heaven rewards discipline. Show up again and again. Train your mind. Sharpen your habits. Elevate your standards. And soon enough, excellence won't just be something you do, it will be who you are. That's the true reward. That's the hidden victory. And that's how legacies are built, one quiet choice at a time. Confidence grows through commitments kept. Confidence doesn't appear in flashes of brilliance or crowds of applause. It's not gifted to the loudest voice or inherited through charm. True confidence is quiet, steady, unshakable, and it's built not in public, but in private, in the unseen hours, in the small, silent moments where you decide to show up, follow through, and keep your word to yourself. Luke 16:10 says, "He who is faithful in very little is faithful also in much." That's not just spiritual insight, it's the blueprint for inner strength. Because when you're faithful in the little things, the early alarm, the healthy meal, the extra effort, you prove to yourself that you are dependable. And that belief, that's where confidence begins. Not from what others think of you, but from what you believe about yourself when no one's watching. Every time you say, "I'll do it," and you do, it grows. Every task completed, every promise honored, every excuse rejected becomes a brick in the foundation of a confident life. Confidence is not hype. It's not noise. It's not pretending. It's the quiet conviction that you will show up again and again because you've trained yourself to do so. You don't need a spotlight to get stronger. You need consistency. Consistency builds trust, and trust is the root of confidence. Think about it. When someone breaks their word repeatedly, do you trust them? No. The same applies within. If you constantly break promises to yourself, "I'll start tomorrow, I'll quit next week," you erode your own belief. But when you deliver, especially when it's inconvenient, you strengthen your core. And here's the truth. When you begin to trust yourself, the world can't shake you. Critics lose their volume. Doubt loses its grip. because you're no longer waiting for validation. You've already given it to yourself. You know who you are because you've seen what you do. Confidence then is not a performance, it's a consequence. Look at the patterns you live by. Are they reinforcing self-trust or sabotaging it? Do your actions echo your intentions or betray them? Every time you align what you say with what you do, you deepen the roots of your character. And the deeper the roots, the steadier the tree. Life may blow, storms may come, but a rooted tree doesn't fall. So if you want to build unshakable confidence, don't start with crowds, start with commitments. Not grand gestures, but small, consistent acts. Wake up when you said you would. Finish the task you started. Keep the promise you whispered to yourself in quiet moments of resolve. These moments are the furnace where real confidence is forged. Because confidence isn't loud, it's loyal. It's not about being better than others, it's about being consistent with yourself. And when that consistency becomes your habit, that habit becomes your identity. The applause may come, the recognition may follow, but the real reward is internal. A steady, grounded, immovable sense of self that no praise can inflate and no criticism can deflate. That's the confidence that lasts. That's the confidence you build. One kept promise at a time. Character is what you do when no one's watching you, can impress with performance, but you only build true impact through integrity. Talent may open the door. Charisma might win the room. But only character keeps you standing when the applause fades and the spotlight shifts. Integrity isn't glamorous. It rarely trends, but it endures. Proverbs 10:9 reminds us, whoever walks in integrity walks securely, not publicly, celebrated, securely. That's a different kind of reward, one that anchors you when storms come, one that builds trust, not just attention. Integrity is the quiet commitment to truth when no one else is around. It's what you choose when you could get away with less. It's how you handle pressure when cutting corners is easy and justified. And yet, the truth remains. What you do in the dark eventually comes to light. Because who you are when no one's watching determines what you'll be trusted with when everyone's watching. Applause is fleeting. Reputation is fragile. But a rooted life, one built on integrity, is unshakable. Don't compromise your standards for claps. Don't dilute your values for a shortcut. What seems small today, a white lie, a bent rule, a hidden habit, can fracture a legacy tomorrow. What you tolerate in secret will ultimately define you in public. Integrity is not a burden, it's protection. It guards your name, your vision, your peace. It sets a foundation that pressure can't crack and criticism can't crumble. Because you're not trying to be impressive, you're trying to be immovable. And that journey begins in the shadows, before the title, before the recognition, before the platform. It's in the quiet decisions. Will I be honest here? Will I honor this commitment? Will I keep my word when there's no reward? These are the places where legacy is born, not in fanfare, but in faithfulness, not in loud victories, but in silent integrity. George Washington didn't become a revered leader because he sought power. He earned influence through consistency. He was known for his unwavering honesty, deep loyalty, and disciplined restraint. When the time came to lead a fragile nation, his foundation was already laid. He didn't have to rise to the moment. He had been rising in the shadows for years. The weight of leadership didn't crush him because his inner world was already fortified. You want to make an impact? Start where no one sees. In your conversations, in your habits, in your choices. Be the same in silence as you are in the spotlight. Build a name not with noise, but with truth. Walk securely, not just successfully. Let others chase popularity, you chase purity. Because the world might forget your achievements, but it will remember how you made people feel. And nothing builds lasting trust like integrity. So check your foundation. Is it built on public image or private discipline? Are you curating a persona or cultivating a character? The difference will show, maybe not today, but eventually. And when that day comes, may your integrity speak louder than your titles. May your quiet choices rise up to defend your name, because performance might impress, but only integrity leaves a legacy. And legacy, not applause, is the true measure of success. Purpose will pull you through pressure. Pressure isn't a sign you've lost your way. It's a signal that you're carrying something with weight. You don't feel pressure when you're empty. You feel it when you're full of vision, responsibility, purpose. It's the resistance that confirms you're moving. Romans 8:28 reminds us, all things work together for good to those who love God, who are called according to his purpose. That means even the pressure has a purpose. Even the weight works for your good, not because pain disappears, but because purpose redeems it. Purpose doesn't erase hardship. It transforms it. When you know why you're doing what you're doing, the storm doesn't derail you. It develops you. The wind doesn't knock you over. It strengthens your roots. Pressure is not your punishment. It's the sculptor of your potential. It shapes your endurance. It reveals your values. It purifies your motives. It strips away what doesn't belong so what does can stand. There is a difference between stress and strength. Stress breaks what isn't built to carry weight, but pressure builds what is. When you're aligned with purpose, pressure becomes your teacher, not your enemy. You begin to see the struggle differently. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this preparing me for? That shift, that single question, changes everything, because suddenly pain has direction, discomfort has design, and your endurance has meaning. You can't ask for greatness and run from pressure. They come together. The greater the call, the heavier the weight. But pressure never shows up to crush you. It shows up to qualify you. And the strength you build under pressure will carry you farther than any moment of ease ever could. When you feel the heat rising, it doesn't mean you're failing. It means the fire is refining. Harriet Tubman. A woman with every reason to run from pressure. Every journey back into slave territory meant risking capture, torture, death. And yet, she returned. Not once, not twice, but again and again. Why? Because her purpose was bigger than her fear. She wasn't chasing comfort. She was answering a call. Her mission wasn't about ease. It was about freedom. And in that freedom, generations were changed. That's the power of walking through pressure with purpose. You're not called to an easy path. You're called to a meaningful one. So if it feels heavy, that doesn't mean you're off course. It means you're carrying something sacred, something weighty, and that weight is evidence that your work matters. Don't pray for the pressure to end. Pray for the strength to carry it well. Because when purpose fills your heart, the storm doesn't break you, it builds you. Find your why. That's the anchor. That's what holds you steady when emotions swirl and circumstances shift. Your why must be bigger than your mood, bigger than your obstacles, bigger than the opinions that try to sway you. Because when you know what you're building, no delay can distract you. No critic can derail you. No failure can define you. You'll keep going, not because it's easy, but because you're called. So press on, through the pressure, through the silence, through the weight, not in spite of it, but because of it. Because all things, including the pressure, are working together for your good. You're not being crushed, you're being carved, and what's being formed in you now, it will outlast the storm. Patience is the partner of power. You crave results, fast, visible, immediate. But the deepest, most powerful things in life don't arrive on demand. They unfold through process, through time, through patience. Ecclesiastes 3:1 declares, "To everything there is a season." That's not just poetry, it's a principle, a law written into the fabric of life itself. Seeds don't bloom on schedule. They bloom when they're ready. And readiness comes through quiet, unseen development. Power isn't loud. It doesn't flash across your screen or shout from a stage. Power is steady, rooted, slow. It's the oak tree rising from the acorn. Not overnight, but over years. No panic, no rush, just consistent, invisible growth.